West Coast Avengers. West Coast Avengers. SunDAVE Sitdown is the place to be when you're sitting around with a guy like me. No, actually, I don't like that either. Just testing out new theme songs. Happy Sunday, everybody. It's me, White Ghost Guy, Dave. Hey, what's up? Justin? Spidey Hits in the house. It's another episode of SunDAVE Sitdown. I'm in my 8th episode now. Man, that means I've talked for like 16 plus hours and people have listened to me. I don't know. It's like I'm a cult leader, except the only thing I'm going to ask you to drink is the water. Don't forget to stay hydrated, folks. Don't be thirsty. What's up, Doom? All right, so another great week. I've got something, a huge treat. When I mean huge, this thing is about 3 feet wide. Yeah, it's big. It's big. I'll give you a little preview. Ready? Here comes a little preview. We're gonna be looking through the artist edition hardcover of EC Covers. So these are all the books from the 40s and 50s that EC Comics put out. Al Feldstein, Frank Frazetta, Johnny Craig. I mean, there's some great names in here. And this is what led to the Comics Code of Authority. This is what led to literal comic book burnings and stuff like that. But first things first. Hi, everybody. I just want to talk about this for a minute. The 1,500th follower, subscriber / whatever you want to call it. The 1,500th subscriber giveaway that I'm going to be doing. I'm about 80 subscribers away. And I'm going to be giving away a Todd Slab, Spider-Man #1, 9/8. You'll get a 9/8. And how it works is you got to watch one of my videos. You got to comment on one of the videos with something that made, so I know you watched it, like a little detail or a question. And then you hashtag STWT, See Todd, Win Todd. And bonus entry is going to be given to anybody that will promote my channel on Reddit, Twitter, or Facebook. The 3 places that I do not promote on, the 3 places I threw away my Twitter account, I threw away my Facebook account. And so if you promote it somewhere, you send me a screenshot, show me that you promoted it, you'll get a bonus entry. And I think what I'll do with the bonus entry, that doesn't count, Justin, but I appreciate the effort. The bonus entry is going to be a second giveaway. I just haven't figured out what it'll be. So that'll be going. I imagine I'll hit 1,500, hopefully by the end of the year. We've got, 20-something days to go. So that's that. And don't forget, every Wednesday, West Coast Wednesday, hashtag PAX, hashtag Goops. Every Wednesday, you can catch me right here on YouTube doing a comic book auction and claim sale. Sometimes on Tuesday, you'll see Spidey Hits on his show. I'll show up and open a box. You never know. Don't forget to subscribe to Spidey Hits as well. Justin's a good dude. Talks about Marvel cards. Gets deep into collecting with our buddy, the 9.9 newsstand Manu. And did you guys watch the second part of the comic book road trip? Yes, you have hashtagged all over the place. If you guys didn't, so last week I dropped my first of a 3-part video for the comic book road trip to Idaho, where I met Jim Healy for the first time, me and Joe, and we looked through his collection, and then, well, I took it all. So part 2 dropped today, and you can actually see the slabs that Joe got for his personal collection. Then next week, you're going to see some more digging through the collection. We'll talk to Jim some more, and you'll see what I picked up for my personal collection that's not going to be for sale. And you guys have already seen some of the stuff that's been for sale. So that is just a little bit of the housekeeping, as we like to say on the West Coast Avengers. You know. All right. By the way, how's it sound? Is everybody hearing good? So before we get to the big boy, and as you can see how big it is, it's literally like here's a normal comic. Anyway, nobody cares about my face anymore. You came to see the comics. I want to show well actually let me just talk about this. I know this came out a while ago, but I finally read Twig, which is the Scotty Young adventure story that he wrote, and it was illustrated by Kyle Stram. I'm not familiar with Kyle Stram's work, but if you're looking for a self-contained story that kind of feels something that maybe it's really hard to see. Awesome. Thank you both. If you're looking for something that kind of fits in between maybe a 1980s Jim Henson-esque adventure with, kind of the sensibility that Scotty has as a writer mixed in with kind of a video game adventure. This is a fantastic book. When it came out, I remember people were talking about it, and they were all kind of stoked on a spec level or whatever you want to call it for selling books. But I talked to a bunch of people. A lot of my friends said they read it, they really liked it. The art's fantastic. It's an adventure story. It doesn't get too dark. It definitely tiptoes. I know this is kind of hard to see this because I've got the camera so far up. But if you're just looking for something fun to read that doesn't get like I said too dark, but it touches the darkness, I could say, like Charlie Murphy. And yeah, I would totally recommend this story. I didn't know that it was a mini series or a limited series when I read it until I got to the end, and I was like, oh, okay. But I could totally see them doing more. This is the type of story where it has a beginning, it has an end, but the door doesn't close on coming back. But fantastic, fun read. And if you've never read anything else of Scotty's, if you want to go something a little bit more of the horror route, I would suggest picking up The Me You Love in the Dark. This is a kind of a traditional ghost story with a twist, or a twisty ghost story with a tradition. How's everybody's week going? Or how was everybody's weekend? All two of you that are in here. I started an hour late tonight because I usually see my peak hit, like my peak viewers for Sunday usually hit around 7:15. So I started a little late tonight, which maybe everybody's got stuff to do. It's a very snowy, cold Sunday night here in Washington, in the South Sound area, Tacoma. It snowed all day. Yay. But I still went out. And one of the reasons I went out, I'm doing continuing education. Well, let's continue our education on comics. How about that? So I had to go out today to meet up with a friend who was he's a vintage seller of, he does vintage markets and stuff like that. And I purchased this from him. Now you guys are just saying, oh, well, it's just a Sleepwalker #1. Who cares? Everybody's got that comic. Well, yes, but possibly one of the rarest comic books from this era would be a Sleepwalker 1 Mark Jeweler variant. So Sleepwalker 1 came out in June of 91. Now, I don't know for sure, but I know in the area from June 91 to about January 92 or that era, this is one of the last books to get a Mark Jewelers insert. I could probably do just a very quick search here on Amazing Spider-Man think it's 351 or 352. Amazing Spider-Man 349. That's actually what it is. So Amazing Spider-Man 349, which came out, yeesh, trying to find a date on it. Whenever it came out July of 1991. Okay, so here we go. So this comes out June of 91, and Amazing Spider-Man 349 comes out in July of 91, and that's the last Spider-Man book to get a Mark Jeweler insert. So Sleepwalker 1 and Darkhawk 1 both have Mark Jeweler variants and two of the rarest books to find with them. I've never seen this before, but my buddy Josh, Gritzy Rust, he had one previewed in his claim sale, and I asked him how much. He gave me the price, and I told him, I was like, I'll take it. So I met up with him today and picked that up. Yeah. All right. Whoa. Oh, hello. My sister in Moses, Angel, East Bay Comics. Just in time. So you guys saw me do that first episode with the Todd McFarlane Artist Edition, which had come out like that week, and it was kind of like the catalyst. I lit the fuse with that Artist Edition to start this show. I'd wanted to do a, I don't know what you want to call this, a comic book talk show, a hangout, a live show that didn't revolve around selling. And so this weekend I visited Olympia Cards and Comics in Olympia, Washington. And I knew they had a Trevor, that is very rare. And I knew they had a bunch of artist editions. And so I kind of had to pick one because these aren't cheap. The cover price on this is $175. And so let's just start. EC Comics. So if you're not familiar with EC Comics, formed in New York in the 1930s, maybe the early 1940s, when they were educational comics. And they were formed by William Gaines, not William Gaines, Max Gaines. Max Gaines is William Gaines's father. And I believe that Max passed away and his son Bill took over. They were responsible for so many things that changed in comics in such a short time span, from the late 40s to the mid 50s. And this introduction's great, but I'm not going to read it all. It's something that it's something that I'm learning about. Just as I get deeper and deeper into comics, it's kind of natural for me to, just like with music, with comics, or with movies, I want to see what influenced the stuff that I love. I want to see what influenced that stuff. So when I was younger and I really started to get into Pearl Jam and Nirvana, I would want to listen to the bands that influenced them, and then the bands that influenced those bands. So, the bands that influenced The Who, because The Who influenced Pearl Jam, and stuff like that. So some of the names. Well, so this book really consists of, what is this, like 12 names? It's mostly Johnny Craig, Al Feldstein, Ghastly Graham Ingalls, Jack Davis, Harvey Kurtzman, and Wally Wood, with a sprinkling of some of these other names that you may or may not be familiar with. John Severin, Shelley Moldoff, Al Williamson, Basil Wolverton, Bernie Krigstein, Reed Crandall, Bill Elder, George Evans, the great and amazing Frank Frazetta. And I think that's everybody. So you're going to see all the original covers, which is mind-blowing, because when you think about it, and I'll go even deeper into this from just what I know, this book was produced, I think it's only about 3 or 4 years old, maybe a little bit more. Let's see what we go. Oh, wow. This is from 2021, so not even a couple years ago. Literally 2. Well, I guess 2 is a couple. But what's crazy about this is these original covers have all been scanned for this book. The books that they produced were basically banned after the 50s, after the Frederick Wortham put out the Seduction of the Innocent, and there was the Supreme Court case, and they basically started burning books, comics in the 50s in the States. So to have these original covers, this is true history. This is archival history. Ha! All right. So we're going to start with Johnny Craig and Crime Patrol. I've never owned or seen a Crime Patrol book, but they're true crime stories. There's so much. It's almost like, and it's very true about the 50s in this country. We before we progressed, we regressed, and you can see what they were producing in the 40s and the 50s before people kind of spent like 5 or 6 years kind of buttoning up. And you see some of these covers by Johnny Craig, and his stuff is absolutely fantastically classic, but they're edgy. I mean, you've got this police interrogation with this guy, and they're clearly, I don't know if they're forcing a confession, but it kind of looks like that because they're all hovering over him. And then you got Crime Patrol, completed this issue, an illustrated suspense story of the Crypt of Terror. So I would love to read this just to know where the crossroads of horror and true crime are. But I do love that hand coming from the shadows. And I guess I don't know. I'm not an artist. I am not an artiste, but I don't know about the red line stuff here. I know more about the blue line, but I don't know what the red line is. But if anybody knows, you can feel free to chime in. You got some paste up lettering and crime suspense stories. So crime suspense stories is kind of, I think, the one that everybody holds. What's the best part of EC Comics? The limited color palette or dark thick line work? That's a good question. Yeah, I agree. The black line work and the shadowing's amazing. There's something about specifically Johnny Craig that I really love. The fear in the line work, the emotion that he's able to get on these faces. I mean, look, this dude's sweating it, literally sweating. And she's hard. There's so much emotion in these faces. I mean, you could see right here, this haunted. It's funny because you see that this is a crime suspense stories book, but the title of this, I wonder if this is where they got the Haunt of Fear title from this cover. I don't know what year this came out. That's right. It's in here. You'll see it in just a little bit. So completing this issue, an illustrated terror tale from the Haunt of Fear. So I don't know the history well enough to know, like, if Haunt of Fear came first and then crime suspense stories. Look what, you don't need anything on this cover. He's got him in his crosshairs. Is this is this the foretelling of the Dick Cheney incident? Is that what we're looking at here? 1950. I don't know. I mean, everything in here is from the late 40s, early 50s. I just don't know specifically on each book. And I don't think it says in the table of contents, but let's take a look real quick. No, it doesn't. So you'd have to kind of do an independent search to see when some of these books came out. But they're all late 40s to early 50s. Crime suspense stories, jolting. Oh my God, he's burying her alive. He looks like I know you guys can't completely see the detail in the face, but he looks literally insane. And then here's an adaptation of Bradbury's America's Top Horror, an adaptation of a story from Ray Bradbury, which I didn't realize that they considered Bradbury. The Hunter and the Rifle is number 12. I didn't know that they considered Bradbury to be a horror writer. I always thought he was science fiction, but what they had as science fiction back in 1940s and 50s, I guess, could be construed as horror. Here's Crime Suspense Stories 18. This is 15. Just the use of shadows, like the ominousness, ominosity, the ominousness of these covers, and the sheer horror, like this. Like I've been collecting comics a long time, I would buy horror stuff. Horror has always been my favorite genre of movie. Eh, There's, 70 years after this, and this stuff still hits better than most things that were created in between the time. Oh, here we go. Two of the most iconic and controversial covers ever put to comics. I mean, you can take all your modern controversy stuff, and this wipes the floor with it. So you got Crime Suspense Stories 20, the famous hanging, and then you have Crime Suspense Stories number 22, the beheaded woman. The I mean, it's crazy because like they would never, you would never see stuff like this created, even in like 1980, 1990, in a mainstream way. Uh, so it's these Shawnee Craig covers, and this has been homaged, this has been reprinted. There's other versions of this that have censored versions of this that have come out, but yeah, yeah, exactly, the 22, yeah. Yeah, I don't think you'll see this one homaged that often, the number 20, just because I would say, well, they're both super super touchy, but just the neck bone broken right there, and her eyes are rolled back into the head, and I don't know if that's just, yeah, that's saliva, but the blood on the axe and the rest of her body, just two incredibly horrific covers and incredibly controversial. Yeah, yeah, yeah. These two books are very expensive books for that they're. I I don't disagree with the fact that they should be expensive. I think they should. First, they survived. So if you find a copy now, and there are copies out there, there's plenty, but more of us want it than there are copies. But yeah, just iconic and controversial. All right, now we get into some Crypt of Terror, which another book that I've never owned any copies of. You don't see them that often. I think these are just a little bit less. Maybe they're less popular. Maybe they're just less of them around these days. So that's number 17. Love the cat in the dumpster eating. You got a little werewolf dude just like, ah. But the lighting in this is great. I love it. This is like when I grew up in New York. All the alleys were like this. I would walk down the alleys and there would be newspapers flying around with headlines like "Werewolf Strikes Again." This is a very common occurrence in New York. We'll find out. We'll find out. Munching on a snack. Um, Crypt of Terror 18. It looks like that. There's just. It's funny. It's not super detailed, but the line work in what is on the cover is kind of detailed. Like what I mean, this is super detailed, right? You can see the can, open cans, open box. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of trash. But then this just looks great. So that's Crypt of Terror 18, and we're still on Johnny Craig. Oh, what is this? This is something else. Is this maybe like this must be a rough. Let's see what this is. I'm gonna look this up real quick. Hit the pause button, folks. Extra 3. Okay. I'm not familiar with what this is, but you can see the tape on there and discoloration on the glue and the whiteout here, or whatever they used to use. But this is a pretty cool cover. This is a photo by Johnny Craig. Oh, it's the newspaper saying it's a photo by Johnny Craig. I'm like, that's not a photo. It's very photorealistic. Love it. And then we go to Haunted Fear. And that is Haunted Fear number 6, which I guess is a precursor to Tales from the Crypt, just because the Crypt Keeper's here, but the Vault Keeper looks more like the Crypt Keeper. and the Old Witch. They kind of combined all those, and that's the Crypt Keeper, the one that we know. Hello, kitties. Yeah. So that's Haunt of Fear, number 6, with the ghoul waiting in the casket. These are just unbelievable. Because like if you take this out, right? If you just look at this part of the image with the people and you said, "Oh, this is a 1950s like book illustration." I would be like, "Okay." And then you throw that in and you're like, "Oh, it's a comic." And it's a horror comic. I love it. All right, we get into another Haunt of Fear number 7. You can see I love that. By the way, I wanted to talk about this, and I can't say that I know much. I can't. What I'm just gonna say is my opinion. The Fear cover is sick. Yeah. Um. So you get the EC Comics logo. You got the date, which would come out May to June, and then LN ID, like all these little logos like conforms to the comics code, which is pre-code. But it's like the pre-code comics code. It's 10 cents authorized. Like I'm so used to seeing this, like never really thinking about the design of all the EC comics because they're all uniform. It's like your title, your adjective, then your logo's here, and your main word, which doesn't always match because you could see impact, right? And I guess I don't know if that's supposed to be an imprint, but impact obviously doesn't match shock, but they both work together. They're very symbiotic. But yes, this Fear cover is amazing. Shit, what was the name of that? What was the name of that movie with Nicole Kidman where she's on the boat and it's like Billy Zane, Dead Calm. Dead Calm. I wonder if Dead Calm is based off of this because it's just like two dudes murdering each other on a boat with a woman. Dead Calm. So yeah, shock suspense stories. So I do want to see if they change. Okay, so it's crime and shock. So crime is the wavy, but suspense stories is the same. But the shock logo is pretty sick. Almost reminds me of Robert Crumb's Zap, especially that Zap Zero. Thanks everybody for joining once again on SunDAVE Sit Down, a place to be when you're sitting down with a guy like me. I'm Dave, and smash that like button, and don't forget I'm going to talk about the giveaway after, but the 1500th follower giveaway. All right, crime suspense stories number 21. So as opposed to the other one, the Haunt of Fear book, where he's the guy's burying the woman. Now we have the woman burying the guy. So crime suspense stories, he's burying her, and then this woman is burying this dude. Except he's got to be in the grave. Can't bury a guy. Yep. Yeah, there you go. There's a lot of influence from Fantagraphics into EC, or sorry, EC into Fantagraphics. A lot. Those big, large trade titles with the cool outline. Yeah. Hate's very much like that. I think Hate's got the Fantagraphic. I think actually Hate has this and this. Yeah, I think you're right, Angel. What's up? We're looking at the EC Comics Covers Artist Edition. Fanta is our modern day EC. 100%. 100%. There's no question about that. All right, so Crime Suspense Stories 21. She's burying him, and then we go to Vault of Horror 13. And Vault of Horror 13, featuring the illustrated suspense stories we dare you to read. This one's kind of tame. I mean, she's out of the casket. He just shit himself, and he hasn't realized it yet. This one's kind of tame, but I bet you it's a fun read. I mean, it's the 40s, 50s. But that being said, you had Shelley, I think Marie Severin. Marie Severin worked for EC, and Marie Severin is like the first woman of Marvel. Fantastic in everything she did, illustrating and inking and yeah, she was a huge part of the comic book industry. Red Room is modern Tales from the Crypt. Red Room's more like shock suspense stories. But you know, you could swap that for modern Tales from the Crypt. I love Ed Piskor. I love what he's done, even though those stories don't work for everybody. I know that that's not for everybody, but when you listen to him talk about it, he just wanted to create something interesting and something to shock people. And what's cool about Severin? Well, both of them, John and Marie, they're from Long Island. I wish I would have known that when I was younger. She lived like 3 towns away from me. Yeah, I agree. That my favorite work of hers, or my favorite cover of hers, is the was it Tales of Suspense 91, the Surfer Hulk cover. All right, here we go to Vault of Horror 14. This is a fun one, tame but fun. So there's that one, and then Vault of Horror 21, which I like this one, the alligator pit. Look at the size of that alligator. I mean, if we're going for scale, all right, that alligator is, because you can't see the tail. That alligator is like about 3.5 feet bigger than that zombie-looking motherfucker. By now, my pets should all have eliminated all traces of the body. Oh, so the security guard, the zookeeper, is put this person in the alligator pit. Oh, I love this. I want to read this one. I need to get some of the hardcovers, the reprints of this stuff. All right, Vault of Horror 22. So we're still on Johnny Craig, and he's probably the most he's probably the most prolific cover artist in EC Comics. Maybe him and Feldstein. Vault of Horror 22 with the Frankenstein monster. Some whiteout you can see, or whatever they used back then to show the ice, like the frosting. I love Johnny. Can we talk about Johnny Craig's signature? If you can see it. Let's see if I can bring this page. No, yeah. You're just going to have to imagine you can see it. But Johnny Craig's signature is great. The O is above the H and connects with the J. I love it. Vault of Horror 25. Oh, look. It's my ex. Got her. Vault of Horror number 25. Looks like they're bringing a seance with this severed head that looks like a zombie. Just a fun cover. Lots of black on there too. Lots of blacks on these covers. You can't have darkness without it. Where's the Cocaine Bear? Cocaine Bear. I just saw the trailer for Cocaine Bear. I am so excited to see that. Cocaine Bear is probably over here somewhere. This is a great cover. Vault of Horror 26. Just those hands. Oh, they're nasty. Those fingernails are really nasty. And you can even see the shock on their faces here. You can even see the shock on their faces. And, once again, they're using hard, you got your adjective, like your genre, but also your adjective right there. 26. Yep. Yeah. Oh, all the attention to the detail on the ground coming up. You can even see part of the bones here of the hands. And then we go to 28. 28, interesting one. I kind of see what's going on here, and I don't want to assume, but some, like voodoo stuff, but they're burning this person, but the person's tied to a stake, but the fire's back here. Interesting. Some interesting inference of what I think the book might be about. Do it. Make it. Create it. Send me a picture. I'll show it off. Oh, here we go. Some more Vault of Horror. Oh, this one's nasty. It's an adaptation of another Bradbury story. And look, you can see the red pencil. It says wood color. So there's a note to the colorist. Bleed. Oh, that's the page bleed. By the way, guys, I just the addiction is is continuing. I bought another page, another original page, and it's another Spawn page, and it's not a Todd. I can't afford that type of stuff. Should have it. Hopefully, we'll have it by next Sunday. If not, I'll have it 2 weeks to show off and talk about. Vault of Horror 29, great cover, and then we go to 30. Oh yeah, well, this happened once. I remember taking the subway. I used to take the subway when I lived in New York, and I lived in Queens, and I worked in Manhattan. And I remember that one time that there was just a severed hand hanging from the subway, and next stop, 34th Street, Herald Square. Get off here for the 1, 2, 3, A, B, and C. Yeah. Vault of Horror number 30. I love this cover. I would love to own this cover just because this is New York. This is this is Cross Bronx Express, New Lots Avenue. Yeah, I love this. Then again, did this art just appear out of nowhere? All right. This is sick. I love this. And it's on different board than this. You could actually see the lines. I mean, this is a blue line board, but this is not a comic cover board. This is like some type of accounting board. You guys can't see it, but there's columns. It's like some type of office thing. All right. Oh, look at that. Johnny Craig. So Johnny Craig, like, he draws humans, right? Like Kirby's got his style, right? His human faces. They're all very much in line with each other. But his ghoulish faces, all different. Every single one of them. Look at that one. Oh, it's so sick. Vault of Horror 32. Yeah, the color's different. The last one was like a blue one. Excuse me. So, yeah, this one's pretty dope. He's walking into the house with a meat cleaver on his head. But he's still looking at him. This dude's sweating his ass off. Who wouldn't be? If your neighbor Frank walked in and he's like, ugh, and he's got a meat cleaver right in his head. This one, kids carrying a coffin. Kind of messed up. That's Vault of Horror 33. But I don't know what's going on in this story, but they're all yelling at. Well, okay, this dude's yelling something, but the rest of them are all kind of looking on with different expressions on their face. I don't know what's going on here. But that's Vault of Horror 33. Oh, here we go. So it changes up just a little bit. Not much. But this all black, I guess it just looks different. It's not really different. You still have the same logos. Still got the horror there. Same font here. Your price and your EC logo. But you will notice one thing here. Oh, you know what? I didn't notice. Okay, guys. So, ladies and gents, at some point, Vault of Horror, maybe none of it is. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, Vault of Horror no longer bears the star that conforms to the comics code. It's just gone. It's gone. So, this is where I think maybe you're starting to see some of the pushback, and EC basically saying, well, all right, screw you guys. I'm going home. I like this one. This one's pretty cool. This kind of looks, this is different. You got a vampire dude's holding a chair leg trying to stab, and I don't think it's going to happen. Some type of screen tone used on this, which is really cool. I've never seen this one in person, but it's interesting because you could see in Johnny Craig, I don't think this is much of a stretch, but you could see in Johnny Craig where Bernie Wrightson got his inspiration from. I mean, if you didn't tell me if I didn't see this was Johnny Craig, I just saw this image, I might think that was a Bernie Wrightson for sure. And this one's completely different. This kind of reminds me of like Al Williamson. So maybe Al Williamson inked this, but I don't think so. Very cool. All right, so we're going into the crime books. Tons of crime books from EC as well. Not just crime suspense stories, but you got the war against crime. Real stories from police records. Interesting. I've read into some of that, kind of the propaganda version of what the propaganda that this was. But war against crime, I think a lot of this was also taken from just it's kind of like how Law and Order is like based on, true stories and stuff. I think this stuff is kind of like kayfabed. But you can see the paste up. Her head's a paste up. Totally different shade. That's complete paste up. I like this. I like the just the detail on this one. Yeah, I don't believe that an ounce. Oh, piracy. I had a shot to buy the first issue of this, and I chose to buy some other EC stuff instead. War Against Crime #9. Double Crosser is supposed to throw. Oh, so this is supposed to be like a fixed fight. Great imagery though. Look at the impact of that punch. Knocked him right off his feet. Very kind of feels like when you get knocked out in Mike Tyson's Punch Out. And the piracy one's pretty cool. Another one that does not feel like Johnny Craig, or another one that if you told me it was Bernie, it's not. Okay, so here we go. That's why it does not look right. Okay, so this is the last Johnny Craig. And we go into Reed Crandall. Crandall. So piracy, I've never read any of these issues, but like I said, I've seen them before. I should have just bought the one that I saw, but can't win them all. Sagas of the Sea, Ships, Plunder, and Piracy. Oh yeah? Oh, I'd love to. I know that one. That's one of the blue ones, right? What's up, Brian? Do you like how I was like, oh yeah? So piracy #3 and 4. These are Reed Crandall covers, and the sidebar imagery is a paste up. Actually, this is a paste up also, and it's just this is your image here. But I love how this kind of comes out on there. Frontline combat, yeah. So back when I first started doing claim sales, and this is like a year and change ago, a woman had given me a box of comics. Like, I put an ad out, and she's like, "Oh, I've got a box of comics. You could just come and grab it." And so I did, and there were old comics that were sitting in the garage, but there was a bunch of Frontline Combats on there. Actually, I wondered, Brian, did I sell any of them to you? Because I know you were in there pretty quickly in my sale, so I'm just kind of curious if I ever sold you Frontline. I had a couple Frontline Combats and a couple other EC books that I didn't really care for or care about. But here's so there's only a couple of Reed Crandalls, and now we're going into there's some what's in there. Now we're going into Jack Davis. Jack Davis doing these Frontline Combat covers of just a crazy amount of detail, crazy amount of shadow and black. I got to imagine maybe he served, maybe he was in the military, or he was looking at a lot of reference photos. All right, I'm not familiar with this book, the Impact one, but these are Jack Davis covers. Huh. Well, there's always time to change that. Tales designed to carry an impact. So you got issue number, I don't know. This is #3, so this is either 2 or 1. So introducing a new direction of magazines, entirely novel and unique kind of reading experience. Pretty interesting. This dude's just ominous. Yeah, it is. It is. Tales designed to carry an impact. Introducing a new direction of magazines, an entirely novel and unique kind of reading experience. How did I do? So this is I think this is it's either 1 or 2. And then this is #3. I love the lightning on the side. Very cool. Candy, cigars, cigarettes, lemonade, 15 cents. Jack Davis. It's very interesting cover. All right, so we've got Impact 4. This is a cool cover. He's diving on a hand grenade. The rest of these dudes are all like, oh shit, we're dead. I like the way Jack Davis draws faces. They're a little cartoonish, but these are comic books after all. And then this is the cover that they blew up on the oh, whoa, almost just on my laptop. So this is that page, right? That is that cover. Incredible science fiction, which this rocket ship, I think they use this in another book later on. But also, this is post code. So this is all approved by the Comics Code Authority. What we got here? Still Jack Davis. And then we're going to get to some Mad. Incredible Science Fiction number 32. Also a great cover. It's sad to think that, this time where this stuff was banned and the Comics Code was started. It's sad to think that that's like in my parents' lifetime. Not my lifetime, but it's my parents' lifetime that all this stuff happened. I mean, you would think we've come far, but this country still hasn't figured out that, weird science. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. All right, so there we got Mad. Tales calculated to drive you mad. And that's Mad number 2. Great cover. I forget what it's like. They were trying to fit that's what Mad was known for, the art style of where you're just trying to fit as many jokes in as you can in a little space. He's catching that ball. And then we get to Jack Davis, Tales from the Crypt covers. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. Tales from the Crypt number 29, number 30. Burying this guy alive. And then this guy's chained to or tied to something underwater. No, these are great. These aren't the best, but they're still fantastic from an art standpoint. I think the stuff that comes in the first 20 issues of Tales from the Crypt, those covers are amazing. I don't think there's any of them in here, though. I think it's all 20 and above. Tales from the Crypt number 31 and 33. And then we're going Tales from the Crypt 35 and 42. What an amazing wolf monster in the foreground. So gigantic, too. And you got this dude dead lying on his tombstone. But that. Well, this is. It's cool. I forgot to say this, but I guess it doesn't matter. This is the first time I'm looking through this book. I bought it yesterday. I opened it up today. I placed it on the table to make sure that the camera is so high up. The camera is a 1.5 feet above my head. Hello. See? But yeah, it's the first time I'm getting to see this book too. So y'all are experiencing it as I am. It's interesting. There's not a ton of notes on these pages on the on the side. I like the check mark here. There's 3 check marks. Blind review, exactly. All right, so one of these is a rough, and then one of these is the finished cover. Oh wow, geez. So the original. Let's see if this is the original. Oh, there's so much detail. 11 by 14. No, Brian. That's my arm. This is 28 by probably about 28 by 18 or something like that. But look at the rough, or maybe this is the one that they used and this is the one they couldn't use, where he is hacking. It looks like a woman. I see long hair, but he's hacking a woman up. Now this is some Tales from the Crypt stuff. Oh yeah, you can see this is a paste up right here. So this is what they edited. And this is probably, the original. Maybe I have short arms. Rah! 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 No, it's sorry, Brian, I wasn't trying to. I wasn't. Rah! That's all I have to say about that. Tales from the Crypt 38. So there's your paste up, and there's the woman being hacked to death. Oh, whoa, look at this one. All right, I eat my words because some of these later Tales from the Crypt issues are amazing. It's me. Ah, ah. That's actually funny from this angle. Ah, ah, hello. Okay, enough T-Rexing around. Uh, another amazing werewolf with what probably is a full moon. And then this one, the guy going under, or the person going under the guillotine, and only they can see what happened, which is the head being chopped off. Yeah, this one. Yeah, the faces here, everybody's got the kind of the same facial expression except this dead eyes person. Uh, but yeah, this is great. They're both fantastic. See, Brian, I know, I know why you've been buying the Golden Age. I know what you've been doing. Because they're amazing. Two-Fisted Tales. All right, we're still in the Jack Davis era. This one's pretty cool. Kind of looks pretty sickly, but I like it. I like it. This one, Two-Fisted Tales number... Shit, I don't know what number that is. This is number 30. I don't see a number on this. This is the Civil War issue. Oh, here we go. We got another Mad cover. But let's do this Two-Fisted Tales. See, this is Jack Davis using that shading, that crosshatch, and you could see some Bernie Wrightson. You know, this is Bernie Wrightson probably looked at this stuff and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to try that." And then yeah, look at here's the first Bill Elder cover we're getting to. I think it's the only one in this book, but Mad number 5. Once again, just squeezing all they can, all the jokes and the whatever, the references and jokes that they want to put in, all in such a small space. You get the severed heads and the shrunken heads, I should say, and something baby with a hand like that holding a bone, and this dude's like he's stuck up like a voodoo doll and fingernails and the pig. Oh, this is such a wild cover. You say you lost your voice and you want me to find it. At last, an exciting case. So this is probably this is George Evans. All right. See, I would have thought that maybe Severin worked on some of this stuff later on, but Aces High, number 3 and number 5, dogfighting, just coming off the heels of World War II. So, what better way to show people the action, but in a comic book form? You can do what you want in a comic book form. You can tell any kind of story. We go back to piracy, and this is also George Evans, and then we get to Al Feldstein after this. But you can see the paste up on the date, paste up on the comics code. I love the shark in the background. Cool cover. And then we get to Al Feldstein, which is funny because look at his signature. It's a Stein. Al Feldstein. So we get Panic. This is no 3D magazine. This is a 2D Panic. What a fun cover. Setting off a nuclear bomb on his train set. Humor in a varicose vein. Wow. That's a great byline there. Humor in a varicose vein. It's true. Friday Morning Panic. This is no magazine. This is Humor in a varicose vein. I love this. I want to use that from now on. And there's the Feldstein signature. People who no like him, my poons can go fly a kite. Mr. Mr. or is that Mel? I love that. And here's looks like a rough on a cover for Panic. Yeah, so they used This was their okay. So this was their paper, their legal paper. Their I don't know what you would call this, but this is their boards. 225 Lafayette Street. I was actually outside that building a couple months ago. I was in New York visiting, and me and my friends were going to have dinner around the corner from 225. So I took a picture outside of the building where EC Comics lived. All right, so here we go. We get into the Feldstein era, and Al Feldstein, uh, one of the two most prolific artists at EC Comics. And so I think we'll probably be flipping through his stuff for a number of pages. We got Shock Suspense Stories number 7, another Ray Bradbury adaptation with this dude's boils burning on his face, and just love the white used, and it's such a sick cover. It's disgusting. I love it. And then we go Shock Suspense Stories 9, another Ray Bradbury adaptation. Wow, I can't say the word adaptation. Ray Bradbury adaptation. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan today. All right. Tales from the Crypt, number 22. I have a number 24, which is an Al Feldstein cover, but very similar to this one. I like this one. Wish I could have gotten this one too. And then Tales of Terror. Here's EC's 3rd annual Tales of Terror. 16 of EC's best yarns from 1951. That looks painful. And then there's that is the Vault, the Keeper of the Vault of Horror. Hey, what's up, Sean? Welcome in. We're looking at, just show you the cover. I'm sure you saw it on my Instagram post, but looking at the EC Comics covers, the artist edition. We're only on Al Feldstein right now. We just got to Al Feldstein. Classic cover right here. Weird Fantasy 16, science fiction. And is that George Clooney from Gravity, just kind of chilling in space because the rocket ship left him? Whoops, Whoops. Weird Fantasy number 7. Another Feldstein cover. It's classic science fiction fantasy. Drawn the classic kind of Barbarella looking woman and pompadour type. I don't know who that. You own this book. Ooh. I forget the name of Coffin Creek Tales. That's a good one. You own this book, Brian? That's beautiful. I would love that. Let me have it. And we go to Weird Fantasy number 8. This is I love the way the fantasy's drawn. Very much like the inspiration. IDW did a cross-company promotion that was like it was through all their books, and it was a storyline called Infestation, and they definitely were inspired by the sidebar fantasy. Look at these guys. Just horrific. Kang and Kodos. Kang and Kudus, or Kodos. That's who this is right there, right? Weird Fantasy number 11. Incredible science fiction stories. It's a pretty cool cover. Not my favorite, but that's definitely the island of Manhattan with a giant crater in it, and the Hudson spilling into it, because that's the East River. Ooh, this one. So you got Weird Fantasy number 14 and 15 by Feldstein. This one looks like a giant gun, this spaceship. That's really funny. It's like the chamber. I wonder if that's what that's supposed to be. This one's great, though, with that rocket. Very classic with the rocket in the background. Yeah, I got you. I never read it, but I know of it because I've seen a bunch of those books. I have some of them. Incredible science fiction stories. I love this dragon-looking tentacle alien thing. Whoo! Look at this one. Another Bradbury adaptation with the dinosaurs and the rocket ship. Oh, it's just like their idea of science fiction in the 40s and 50s. Like that's that's the best thing that science fiction has yielded until the 70s when you get Star Wars and I guess Star Trek would have been late 50s, early 60s, but I love their idea of science fiction. It's very Land of the Lost or Lost in Time or Land of the Lost in Time. And you know what I'm saying. You dig. And then you got Weird Fantasy 17 and 20. 20's got a great cover of the dead astronauts pouring out of their spaceship as skeletons. But I like this dinosaur cover. Beautifully illustrated, the reflections of the water, the ripples in the water, shading and all that line work. It's perfect. Still love the covers with more black on it. Just kind of rip. They rip. All the stuff in these books take place in 2004. There you go. That's very 2004. I remember when that happened. All right, so we go to Weird Science. Weird Science. So the sister book, I guess, to Weird Fantasy. Number 12 and 13 were Feldstein covers. There's a lot of text on the covers, but they always used to do that on these covers. They always put like a paragraph. Good Lord, Carl, you're shrinking rapidly, and there's nothing I can do for you. You will soon find yourself in a world that no man has ever seen, a microcosm of molecules and atoms and electrons and protons. And then you will continue to shrink. Shrink into what? What will you find, Carl? 50 years into the future. It's true. It is true. You could find a military member talking about the flying saucers over the U.S. Capitol. Weird Science. Weird Science 14 and then Weird Science 6. Okay, so two completely different fonts, two completely different title logos. You got the Weird, and then you got Weird Science. I kind of like this one. Also, very much reminds me of Crumb's Zap. It's Danny Elfman on the cover. These. Oh, I love this. This is Greedo. Is that Greedo? Greedo shot first. So yeah, these covers are fun. Alien covers. We're still on Al Feldstein. Paste up here. But I love this. I wonder if this is something. This is really bright, the white on that. So Feldstein did everything good because we saw some of his earlier comedic work, some of his horror work, but his sci-fi stuff, just so inspirational. I can only imagine the people that saw this that went on to create things that we know and love in the 60s and 70s, 80s, 90s. But I wonder if George Lucas ever looked at this stuff. Or what's his name? Gene Roddenberry. I wonder if Roddenberry had to have written some stuff. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. But I do love that Weird Science logo. Oh, here we go. Look at that. Weird Science 24 to close out the Feldstein. And just beautiful landscape. Some other planet. A solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse or whatever kind of eclipse. And that rocket ship. But then we just take a little break. And we just have this beautiful Frank Frazetta illustration right here. Unmistakable. This is before he would just sign Frazetta. His signature is a little bit different early on, but Just unbelievable. Frank Frazetta. If you don't know Frank Frazetta, the greatest fantasy artist, the greatest barbarian artist, the greatest, yeah, one of the greatest talents in all of art in the last 100 years. And a little cup of coffee. He did some comics work, but not a ton. He did some pulps. He did a little bit of everything. And then we get to Ghastly Graham Ingalls. Ingalls? Bueller? Let's see. Ingalls. Ghastly Graham Ingalls. And he was Haunt of Fear. Some of this stuff, I mean, it's just I know nobody in here is 85 years old and read this stuff as it was new, but I wonder what it was like to pick this stuff up at a newsstand or whatever, or see it on the newsstand and read this new, you know, like, oh, it's such a treat. And were people into horror? Like, did people talk about it? Like, you had movies. It was the early days of it, so you didn't have even like John Carpenter or anything like that. So this is where you got your real horror. And did people talk about it? Did they say, like, did you read that Haunt of Fear? I don't know. We just would love to know what it was like to own this stuff and read it new. Haunt of Fear number 13. It's a great cover of dogs attacking somebody, and it's not blood, but be cool if it was blood. Number 15. Oh, Grandpa, he was just sleeping. Just the way that Engels drew detail on this stuff and faces. I feel like that's one thing that EC artists had to be good at faces and drawing fear, because the horror stuff wouldn't have worked if they couldn't do it. Ooh, look at that one. Nasty. This one is another Ray Bradbury adaptation. Looks like some version of the Frankenstein monster, but this one doesn't have a head. Yeah, you're probably right. Like, what are you talking about, kid? You like this? You like watching a woman's head get cut off? Looks like we're gonna commit him. This cover, though, amazing. Nasty. Another artist that I imagine Bernie Wrightson and Neil Adams looked up to. Graham Ingalls. I bet you Kaluta did too. Uh-oh, they're about to lose their heads. Jeez. Kind of speechless on some of this stuff. But what I love about it, what I absolutely love about it, is that it's that thing I was saying at the beginning of the show. You go back and you see the artists that inspired the artists that you love, and then you go back even one step further, and you see the art that inspired them. And so that's why I see just a lot of Bernie and a lot of Neil Adams in here. Let me know if there's anybody, like, you guys chime in, see if there's anything you could point out influence wise, like who you think, a guy like Ghastly Graham Ingalls influenced. All right, let's see if number 21's in here. I used to have it. I sold it. No, I guess he didn't do the cover for 21. Oh, this is great. I don't know what's going on here. Somebody's awake and alive, and they shouldn't be. So she's going for the knife, and there's a full moon, and you could feel the panic in her face. Great line work. Amazing line work. Haunt of Fear number 23. Another Ghastly cover. Went to Fear 24 and 25. This is a great one. 25 is fantastic. This one, ooh, it's the liquid face. God. Picture's worth 1,000 words, and these comics are just amazing. It's just nothing. Steve Niles, that's another one. You know, Niles, Kelly Jones. So I can see it's the line work. Sam Keith. You know, all these guys that I'm naming, clearly influenced by just a handful of artists that were doing this stuff at a time where nobody was. Let's move you down just a little bit. Oh. Humphrey Bogart, kind of. Vincent Price right there on the cover. 100% Vincent Price. I don't know if you can see that, guys. That is Vincent Price right there on Haunt of Fear number 26. And so much little detail in here that I'm just seeing, like the headline on the Daily Herald says woman in suicide, and the pipe, guess that's his dead wife coming home to roost or something. By the way, guys, don't forget, like, follow, subscribe. Watch to the end. West Coast Wednesday, comic auction and claim sale on Wednesday. Haunt of Fear number 28. I had this one too. I sold it, didn't completely love it. So I was like, be gone with you. And then are we still on Graham Ingalls? Probably not. This looks completely different. And I do not see his signature. So let's see who this is. See, I don't completely agree. There's some of it I could. All right, so we're going to Bernie Kriegsteen. No, this is still, all right, that's still Graham Ingalls. I mean, yes and no. Like, I don't think this loses anything in black and white. Some yes, some no. How about let's go with that. Some yes, some no. Exactly. If you don't enjoy something, why keep it? It's true. You don't need to have everything. Saddle Justice. So Annie Oakley, I don't know. I've never read or looked at a Saddle Justice, but True and Terrific Saddle Justice, number 5 and number 8 by Graham Ingalls. And then we go after that to one Bernie Kriegsteen. We can only say fair things here on this program. The West Coast. Oh, wow. I almost just called myself the Avengers. West Coast Avengers. A fair assessment is all I've got. Remember when I used to sing the joke in the beginning? Saddle Romance is number 9. Some face work done here. I don't think this is a complete cover, but maybe it's the color that needs to be done. And that's what. And then we got one Bernie Kriegsteen. Piracy, kind of straight to the point. This dude's afloat to sea. The sun's beating down on him. He's probably dying. And that's Piracy number 6. All right, who do we have now? I should have remembered. I think this is, well, let me take a quick look. All right, so now we're getting into the Harvey Kurtzman era. So Kurtzman does some of the wars, some of the other stuff, but Kurtzman's most known for Mad Magazine. And there'll be a lot of that in the next couple pages. So you get 3D EC Classics. Yeah, they were doing 3D books back here. I have at least one, maybe two books or so, or actually 3 books from the 50s. That's 3D. I have a tour, and I have a horror one. This is War Frontline Combat number 1. You could see some similarities with Kurtzman and Kirby. I could see it in the face. Just a little bit, not a lot. Looking at these reminds me of the cereals I had as a kid, Tales from the Dark Side and such. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that The thing that I said, or I say, and I've said to some of my friends about Golden Age, we had a resurgence in the Silver Age stuff over the course of the comic boom. And people are starting to really get into the Golden Age stuff. It truly is history. It needs a wave. It needs a wave of interest so that it's kept alive, because everybody that created this stuff are pretty much all gone. And the people who grew up reading this stuff are super old. So, not a lot of this stuff survived either, because of the burning and because of the comics code and because of the witch hunt against these guys. So we need a resurgence of people, whether it's people like me, you, or middle aged, not whatever, and younger people, because the interest on this stuff, the more interest there is through the generations, the more it doesn't get forgotten. And so I fully agree. I have a trove of Golden Age stuff, but I don't have a lot of this stuff. I have a lot of the cartoony stuff. So we got Frontline Combat number 2. It's another Harvey Kurtzman. And Frontline Combat number 4. I don't really care much for the war stuff, to be honest. It's just never really interested me. But it's cool to see. It's just not something I really kept. I do love Harvey Kurtzman's art. It's great. This definitely feels a little bit different than the typical Golden Age war stuff you see. So it's more comic booky than it is realistic. The planes can't take them out, and the tanks can't take them out. Looks like it's up to us. Fix bayonets. So that's Frontline Combat 5 and 7. This is there is some historical documentation for this, so that's cool, but it's never really interested me. But here, this is at the top of my list. This is the top of my list. Young Circle of Part of, because who is this? Yeah, because if you look at this as inspiration, you're basically going, skipping generations back and foregoing that just to, take inspiration from stuff that you don't really see any style of art like this anymore. You see it in the undergrounds, you see it in the independent stuff, self-published, but you sure as hell don't see this stuff in the major publications. So here's Mad number 1. I used to read Mad. Speaking of, let's see. Shit, I had an issue over here. What did I do with it? Yeah, I'll find it. It's in this room somewhere. But this is Mad number 1. I don't have this. I really would love to get it. I've had the opportunity to buy some earlier Mads, but I'm really just holding off to get a number 1. And I guess this is the kind of the painted rough draft of it. There's Mad number 3, Harvey Kurtzman. So there's your cover, and there's your original. I guess this is a painted version of it. Kill me. Don't be absurd. What makes you think anyone wants to kill me? It's literally every type of booby trap, including just a random rattlesnake sitting on a branch. I love this. And the safe. That's so cool. All right, Mad magazine number. Well, this is before it was a magazine. It was just a comic. Mad number 6. I don't think I've ever seen this cover before. Kind of love it too. Yeah, this is a different version of that cover. Mad number 8. So Kurtzman's Rough, the finished one. We're presenting this printed cover as a companion piece to Kurtzman Mad 8 Rough on the previous page. So I guess they didn't have the original 8. Maybe it got destroyed, but here's the rough of it. And by rough, it's rough draft. Not that you guys didn't know. All right, rough sketch layout of Mad magazine, or Mad number 7. And it looks like the written stuff was typed up. Everything seems to be on there. To the incredible Glenn Brom, with humble respects, Harvey Kurtzman. So that's who originally owned this page. What's up, Mattis? Going through one of the coolest pieces of archival history that I think I've ever owned, and that is, the EC Covers Artist Edition. So if anybody out there watching this has a Mad number 1 that they want to sell or trade, I'm your guy. Mad 10. It's a fun cover. We get into number 3 and number 9. Still, we're in Harvey Kurtzman territory. I've seen this one in person. I should have bought it, but I didn't. So there was a vampire in the cemetery, but there's no one here but a little child, except the child is the vampire. Humor in a jugular vein. So you had, oh God, it was so far back, but there was humor in a varicose vein. If I could find one of those. And now that was, well, you'll just have to take my word for it. And that's humor in a jugular vein. Tales calculated to drive you mad. The bad ones are coming, Marshall, but as long as I hold you. You know, I'm afraid this is hilarious. There's nobody there. He jumped out of his own clothing. It's not 80 pounds, but it's hefty. It's like 20-something pounds. But it's proportioned. It's proportioned. So then we go to Two-Fisted Tales by Harvey Kurtzman. Gee, Joe, I heard that a lot of the enemy are infiltrating with these refugees. How can we tell, Joe? Joe, did you hear me, Joe? And now the refugee has killed the other GI. Huh. I like these covers. Two-Fisted Tales. I had a John Severed one. I don't know what I did with it. I know I sold it. I just don't know who. Two-Fisted Tales. Number 22 and number 25. More war covers. Interesting stuff. So Kurtzman did a lot of Two-Fisted Tales. I did not realize this. Two-Fisted Tales number 27 and 28. You know, it's cool. The book ends with Wally Wood because it goes in alphabetical order. And I absolutely love Wally Wood. He was the first artist on Daredevil, so you guys will probably be familiar with some of his work. Two-Fisted Annual, 1952, 128 pages. War and Fighting Men. What's up, Bob? I would love any original ECR period. I don't care. Yeah, I mean, sure, of course. Moon Girl, number 6. So this is Shelley Waldorf, I think, or Waldorf. Let's see. Shelley Moldorf. Moldorf. You know what? I'm just going to stop. And I'll just keep going. That is a cool cover. She is stopping a building from falling over. Apparently, half the city is crumbling. Unfortunately, all we get is just one John Severin and Bill Elder cover. That's Two-Fisted Tales, just a classic cover. Number 36. John Severin's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Great. Fantastic draftsman. Harvey Kurtzman. Oh, so this is just where that's property of. And we got Tales of Mortal Kombat, Deeds of Valor, an Al Williamson cover. Gladiator Times, Al Williamson, another one of the most, just such a prolific artist and penciler. Worked on the Star Wars books. If you have a collection of comics that has anything in the 70s or 80s, you probably have an Al Williamson book. And here we go. Al Williamson and Frank Frazetta, Weird Fantasy number 21. The dream team right here. You can see just as much Frazetta in here as you can Williamson. Just the pencils on this are unbelievable. I wish you all could see this up close, like here. You know, it's fantastic. And then Weird Science Fantasy number 25. That's an Al Williamson cover. Draws a great dinosaur, but this one with Frazetta is unbelievable. I'd love to track a copy of this down. Oh, Basil Wolverton. Mad. I don't know what issue this is, but if you don't know Basil Wolverton, I'll probably go over. I have one of his, like, it's not this big, but I have a Treasury signed Treasury edition Basil Wolverton book, and it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. All right, so you just get that one, just that Mad magazine, but Basil Wolverton, he drew people like this. Every time I log to YouTube, it says I need to guard my privacy. Does that mean I shouldn't? Probably not. Probably not. Frontline Combat 14. So we're getting into the Wally Wood here. And if you never got Wood, you're about to get Wood. Geez, look at that. I also love Wally Wood's signature. It's not even a signature. His whatever that is, his logo signature. Frontline Combat 15. A lot of carnage going on in this. A lot of explosions. There's literally just pieces of debris flying up into the title. And I love it. Incredible Science Fiction 33. I don't know this cover, but when that prince sends you, oh yeah, the prince from Nigeria. Cool. All right. Well, can you buy me one too? So the ship is finally completely taken off. Oh, actually, no. It took off even further there. But here's Incredible Science Fiction. Wally Wood is definitely known for a lot of his EC science fiction covers, and you're going to see one probably within the next page or two that I'm familiar with might all be familiar with. Shock Suspense Stories number, well, doesn't say. Guess they didn't have the paste up for that. But this is early Wally Wood because it's not the same logo, signature logo. But interesting. Looks like they're it's very Nazi Germany-ish with the troops in the background and people beating people in the street. Shock Suspense Stories number 4. It's a creepy one. He's hitting the woman, I guess, or he's seeing that he's hitting the woman, but I don't know if I love Wally Wood's human covers as much as I love his science fiction covers. Oh, this one's ominous. Not exactly the Klan, but definitely modeled after the Klan, I'm sure. Shock Suspense Stories number 6. I do love it's a fantastic woman's face. Like, he really drew a beautiful woman there. Very pinup style face. Then we got Two Fisted Tales number 32. Little depth charge action here from the submarine. And it's just an amazing artist, Wally Wood. But here we go. We'll get to this in a second. Two Fisted Tales number 33. And another war cover. He drew good figures. Definitely drew good figures in action. They were beyond, I mean, like, they were, I'd say even Progressive, I feel like, is doing a disservice. They were just completely ahead of their time. Once again, I said it before, and this is probably no new information to you, but after the trial and after the whole, Frederick Wortham and the seduction of the innocent, like, comics regressed and really never got out of it. Like, never. I would say maybe the 80s is really when they started to step out and step back into doing some edgier stuff, but it changed comics forever in not for the better. Uh, it regressed, it buttoned up, and we never got mainstream comics looking like this again. Underground and indie was where it was at. Weird Science #9. I mean, this is where Wallywood shines. Look at just the nastiness and the detail on the scaly skin, of these aliens, and the inside of the ship and the dials and all that, and the buttons and the levers. And then you look outside, and there's just detail on the ship, the U.S. Air Force planes. Fantastic cover. Yeah, they had. Yeah, they did. They had black characters. We saw one of the earlier covers of looked like a female gunfighter. That was definitely not something that you were seeing in mainstream comics after the fact. Female characters. I mean, we still don't have enough female characters. Good female characters. We're starting to get some, but there's the hive mind of shitty dudes who are like, well, that's supposed to be a guy. Weird Science #13 and 14. That sounds like every comic book dude that complains about women in comics. That's what I hear when I see that. Anyway, you can't have that character be a woman. I can't take it. Weird Science #13 and 14. Masterful Wallywood covers. Looks like some type of John Carter situation, but it's not. But you've got some kind of warlordish, but creatures and dinosaurs. Maybe that is John Carter. Maybe that's early John Carter. John Carter. Uh-oh, I scared away two people with my imitation of comic book dudes that can't take women, strong female characters. Weird Science #14. Yeah, this one's okay. Still great, but for the science part of it, I love this. Look at this. Weird Science 15. You got a T-Rex, and then but that T-Rex, he's got Dave arms. This is what I love about Wallywood. Is the dripping, gooey fucking how dare you make the character pass down the mantle temporarily? No. Weird Science 17. It's a great cover. Lots of dead people, lots of alien, gooey disgustingness, women being dragged off the ship by their feet. This is wholesome entertainment for the family. Oh, look at this one. 18 with a little nuclear blast. And these very much first glance Tusken Raider face. Definitely I can guarantee you George Lucas was reading this shit as a kid. 100%. There's so much that I could see him being influenced by. And also Robert Zemeckis. Weird Science. Well, because does anybody remember what issue? I don't remember what George McFly was reading. What comic book he was reading that when Marty came in as Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan that scared the shit out of him. Does anybody remember what comic it is? Weird Science 18 and 19. Yeah, look at that. Look at that alien face. I mean, it's like not even a face. It's melting face. Oh, it's a person, I guess. It's amazing. Yeah, exactly. It was very much a surprise, but there's so much Bradbury in EC Comics. So much of it. Almost makes me want to go back and just read some Bradbury short stories. All right, so we get Weird Science #20 and 21. This one's pretty cool. The Frozen Dolls. I'm sitting in the middle of nowhere. I'm just popping in, so I maintain my record of never missing a show. Spider, I appreciate you, my brother. Well, we're not almost done with the episode. Well, we're almost done with the book. There's only a couple pages left. We're on Wallywood because it's in alphabetical order, and you love wood. So So this is Weird Science 20 and Weird Science 21. I love this cover. I had this one too, but I sold it. I kept one Weird Science book. I'm at small hands. Yeah, look at my small hands and this regular size comic book and this little tiny bitty sticker. Little tiny bitty sticker. Look at how small this sticker. Oh, it's giant. That's no sticker. That's a space station. All right. So that's Weird Science number 20 and 21. And where are we? Oh, look at that. It's Weird Science 22 and just a classic Bollywood goop alien cover. Oh, look at that. And here it is in a 2.5. You guys can't see it because of the way the lights. Oh, there we go. So there's the cover. Let me see. Actually, maybe I can do. Let's do this real quick. So here's your original, and here's the finished color. So Sean, I do think that there's definitely validness of your point about the colored versions being, prettier, but there's just something about seeing the line work without the color. There's so much more detail in here that you just can't see on the cover. All right. Like Steve, some men with very small hands have gone into the presidency. You are right about that. You are right about that. I don't know. Was he reading Tales? That's I could put on the movie. The use of color in EC books is great, but I do love just seeing the original. It's not something we see every day. So you can make a case for anything. You can make a case for anything, and it's all about preference. I never used to like black and white, black and white as much as I love it now. And there's Weird Science Fantasy number 27, another classic cover. Wallywood drew women pretty great. He drew goop great, though. He drew monster aliens, like some of the best, some of the absolute best. And then finally, we've got the Johnny Craig Vault of Horror 41 cover was commissioned by an EC collector in the late 1970s. It's published here for the first time. That's pretty cool. That would be cool to get somebody to commission a cover of something that doesn't exist. And then there's your end page. That's the wallet. That's a Wallywood one. Now, just for y'all that weren't here earlier, this is the EC Comics Artist Edition hardcover. This is the covers, but I want to show off two that are probably the most. I feel like none of them are to color theory, just color. Yeah. Well, color theory probably wasn't a. Yeah, these guys were working. They were working New York City. I ain't got time for that. I want to show you guys the most notorious two covers. Beautiful. Yeah, here we are. The Johnny Craig crime suspense story. See, these don't need to be in color. Like the originals, not a real comic, just a prop. Okay, kind of like what the Lost Boys, the book that they read in Lost Boys. These don't need to be in color to have the effect, the desired effect. But just these two, I wanted to give a good look because some of you that are in here probably did not get to see these at the beginning of the show. Well, probably hit these about 45 minutes in. What's up, Avery? It's okay. Some people have to go to crappy comic conventions to know that they really belong right here. Plus, the world was black and white. But that's true, right? They didn't invent color in real life until, was it like 1962? Like everything was black and white. People were black and white. Books were black and white. Photographs were black and white. Music was black and white back in 1950s. Yeah, that's the thing that our parents don't tell us when we grow up. They don't teach us in school. They're like, oh, we can't tell them. But anyway, these two covers are pretty intense. So that was the EC Comics Covers Artist Edition. I'll show this one off one more time. This is that Weird Science number 22 in a 2.5 off white to white. It's funny. I tried selling this at a couple of different sales, and it's no longer for sale because I want to keep it. Oh, Avery, I'm sorry to hear that. That LA Comic Con was that bad, but at least you got to hang out with your two buddies, so that's cool. I didn't have anything else planned, but you know what? Let me see if I can find that Mad magazine. I'm going to bring this in a little bit closer. Uh-oh. Secrets revealed. Let's just fix this. Yeah, that's cool. Let's get. Well, you can't really see that, but you know, there's a couple people in here that didn't see this. I want to show this off. I got a big, what I consider to be a pretty big pickup today. So one of my buddies that's local to me was selling this on his claim sale, and it's Sleepwalker 1, but it's not just Sleepwalker 1, it's Sleepwalker 1, and that is a Mark Jeweler variant. So for those of you that didn't see this earlier tonight, I believe this is one of the last books to be inserted with the Mark Jeweler, or sorry, produced with the Mark Jeweler insert. It's June of 1991, and I know the last Amazing Spider-Man book to have it came out the next month. This is super rare, and I just something I think is cool. I know if Spider's in here, he's gonna laugh, and you can't laugh at me. So are modern comics trying to recapture the feeling of EC? There's been a big, well, Sean, I don't think they're trying to recapture it in maybe in spirit, but definitely not in art, because I don't know. I don't see anybody doing anything like this. You know, I think as far as you're gonna get is gonna be like variant covers. There's a great Wolverine cover. Wolverine number, I think it's like 51 or 48 or something like that, from like volume 3, that that it's either Greg Horn or Greg Land did, and that's a homage to that cover. 55, thank you, Avery. And I mean, you can't really recapture this because there's no original art anymore. It's all digital, so it's like digitally, it's still not going to look as cool. There's nobody that's ever going to touch Frank Frazetta. There's nobody that's going to touch Johnny Craig. But I'd love to see some people try and put out stuff like this, and that's why I say I think there's more shot of it happening. There's more shot of it happening in like an underground indie space or Fantagraphics. I think that's your best bet, is maybe finding something Fantagraphics. I mean, Red Room. Red Room's the closest thing. Like, I'm gonna send Ed Piskor a message actually after the show and just be like, now I get Red Room even more. The art style and everything he wanted to do. But this, like I said, guys, I just looked at this for the first time today. Like, I bought it yesterday. I'm just looking at it for the first time, and I'm so gonna fall down a goddamn rabbit hole because of this. But a good rabbit hole. You know, I'm gonna get more of the hardcover reprint so I can read it, because I can't really go spending thousands and thousands on this stuff. This stuff, to be honest with you, is the hardest stuff to find in collections. In all the collections I bought in the time I've been doing this, the first dude that I was buying a collection from in the Seattle area sold me a bunch of this stuff, and I only kept 2 books. And one of them you just saw, that was a Weird Science, and I kept a Tales from the Crypt 24, which I got graded, and it's like a 2.5, but it had color touch, but I don't care. I just wanted to make sure that book couldn't fall apart any further, because these books fell apart if they didn't get burned. So, but yeah, that's really what I had for y'all tonight. I got some cool stuff. Well, next week I have a special guest. My buddy, friend of the channel, friend of other Dave, John Wayshak's going to be here. I never saw Frazetta's Buck Rogers stuff, so I can't say that that's controversial, but I bet it kind of is. I just love Frazetta altogether. I don't think there was a bad Frazetta era, maybe except the end of his career. But yes, so next week, John Wayshak is going to be here on the channel. If you don't know John, he's one of the most amazing just illustrators, period. But his comics work include Marvel, Call of Duty Zombies versus shit, I forget. Anyway, he did a series with Rick Remender called De-Evolution. He's done some work on the image book Scumbag, and he's done a bunch of variant covers, and including a killer Philadelphia cover, Predator cover. He's worked with Sam Keith before. So if you don't know John's work, Google Wayshak and be prepared to dive into a world that you might not be familiar with. He'll be here next week. We're going to talk about inspiration. We're going to be talking. That's right. That's right. I don't want to associate with anybody that doesn't work for hasn't done work for Image now. But yeah, don't forget that it's going to be a great show next week, and we're going to talk about inspiration, his favorite artists, stuff he's worked on, comics that he grew up reading, and all that good stuff. We're just going to have a good conversation. Don't forget also, the road to 1,500 subscribers is on the way. I'm at 1,420. So I'm going to tell you how to win this. It's pretty simple. Okay. You watch the channel. So if you're a subscriber already, you don't have to subscribe because you're already subscribed. But I want you to watch a video all the way through. Throw a comment down there that pertains to that video with a detail in it. So like, oh, this person actually watched the video. And I want you to hashtag I'm going to write it here. The hashtag is CToddWinTodd. CToddWinTodd. That way I know you watched it. The reason why I'm asking people that are already subscribed to watch a full video, when you watch a video all the way to the end, it tells YouTube, the algorithm, that video was popular to push it to other people. So that's how I get more exposure, more people, and all that stuff. So if you just hashtag CToddWinTodd, I know you didn't watch the video, which is insulting because you love me. No, and then if you want a bonus entry, promote my channel either on Facebook, Twitter, or Reddit, places that I don't promote because I'm not on. And it would be great. I'll do the drawing live on a West Coast Wednesday whenever it is I hit the 1,500. But I'll announce that I'm doing the drawing so you won't miss it. But anyway, enough about me. More about you. Does anybody have any questions or anything? Okay. I will famous funnies 211. Shit, I don't have a pen, but I can remember that. Plus, I can watch this. This is my stream. Anyway, if anybody had anything they wanted to ask or comment, please do. Otherwise, we're closing it on 2 hours. I don't really have anything else to show off. I was going to do some other stuff, but oh well. Now we know that Avery's a great little spoon, and Sean is the big spoon. I meant questions about comics, not about the sexual preferences of people that watch here. Whatever you want to do in your hotel room, 100% your choice. Anyway, I've watched a lot of your past videos. Does that mean I can go back and my history just take? Or you could just watch. You could watch the new video, and then be like, "Oh, that was blah 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 blah." Oh, sorry. Yeah, whatever. I know you're in here, and that's the thing. It's like people that subscribe to the channel and they're watching the videos and they're in here. I got you. I appreciate you a lot. All right, there we go. I appreciate you too, Avery. Anyway, I still need 80 subscribers. So if you're on Facebook at a comic book group, or you're on Reddit, or you're on Twitter for some reason unknown to man, just be like, hey, watch this crazy dude talk about comic books every week. But anyway, I'm just a bot. I'm just a bot in the world. That's all that they'll let me be. But everybody, I appreciate you for stopping by tonight. Vic, I appreciate you for being in here the whole time, and everybody else that was in here in conversation. Next week, like I said, gonna have John Wayshak here. We're gonna talk comics and art. Wednesday, I'll be back at 7 p.m. for West Coast Wednesday. And then next Sunday morning, I'm dropping the third and final part of the comic book road trip. I've had so much fun editing that episode and kind of going through that weekend that I spent with Jim and Joe and going through books, and excited to show you guys what I got. So still waiting for your East Coast Chapter channel to come out. I don't know if I can take them comic hunting, but you never know. You never know what the future holds. The East Coast Avengers could show up. Anyway, I appreciate everybody being in here. Don't forget to smash the like button on your way out. And I think that's going to do it for me for the 8th episode of SunDAVE Sit Down. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody in here. And I'm just so excited to have this channel grow and grow. I was expecting Jim to reveal he was your father today. Anyway, everybody have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your week. Maybe I'll see you on Wednesday, but if not, I'll see you next Sunday right here on the West Coast Avenger. West Coast